they would call that innovative, Mikey. And I think anytime you can come up with something in a game that's over 100 years old or 75 years old that is different and innovative, you should get credit for it.
We're talking about NFL teams that don't have quarterbacks and haven't done anything to fix that problem. Some people have answered it with a rookie, some have answered it with just more questions, like the Cleveland Browns. So we were suggesting that if you don't have a quarterback, bring your fullback in to call signals. He gives the ball to the halfback and he blocks for him as they go around. The pulling guard, add to that. Get your tackle out there. Let's see if those big kids can run. If you got a young line, let them run. They can run more than the other guys.
Second worst position name in sports, though.
What?
Pulling guard next to tight end.
It's an underused weapon, and when
It
you when you
lends
got a
itself.
when,
It
when you
lends
got a when you
itself.
got a real pulling guard, like if you're a linebacker coming in to make the kill, and here comes somebody 20 pounds more than you, it's a it's a it's an eye opener.
Yeah, but well, so is the just pulling guard just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel comfortable to be said among mixed company of mature
Well,
men.
it's meant to create discomfort on the defense.
Yes, it's like you always have to watch how you use the position named tight end.
Tight end and pulling guard, they get along great.
It's a, it's a match made in heaven. And anyway, he's Michael Knight, and he's in beautiful Pasadena, California, with Mikey and Vinnie.
That's New York. Vinny. He's in Seattle. Today we're taking a look at, well, it's a Freaky Fractures Friday. Good luck to you on what we're going to take a look at. I got a couple topics, but first I'd like to start with something small.
Okay.
You remember I talked to you about a guy who came to the Giants. He claimed off waivers from Philadelphia, I think, and his name was Steele Walker.
Yes, Steel
He
Walker.
said,
Yeah.
"This guy, I wonder what's going to happen to his career." Yesterday, DFA, designated for further assignment. He didn't even get the cup of coffee. He didn't get the picture with the uniform. He didn't get to play second base with the big guys. He didn't even have to show up at the Sacramento River Cats before he was DFA'd. Now, why they claimed him, I can't tell you. With a name like Steele Walker, I would think somebody wants this guy. And to make it more interesting, then the Giants claimed a pitcher from Philadelphia that nobody knew, a left-handed pitcher whose name escapes everybody. And I was thinking about these guys who live at the periphery, who play ball, right? They're too good for AAA. Not there's no room for them at the show. They get claimed. They spend a week with the team. They have opportunity to see where they might fit in. They have dreams of making the show, and a week later, DFA, which is like we never knew who you were anyway. There was a mix-up in the paperwork. Sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are what they call 4A players, and they fit in that slot between a major leaguer and a AAA player. The one thing a couple of things. Number one, they get paid the major league minimum
Yep.
when you're up here, and they get the per diem. And these days, I think the per diem is as much as they could make in a half a season in the minor leagues.
No doubt. No
You
doubt.
know, so you have that, and two, you actually get major league service time. So
Pension.
your name gets into the baseball almanac. Your name gets into the place where they officially register you as a player who was on an active roster. And I think that that's a pretty cool thing.
That is.
That's the Moonlight Graham thing. Where you get one at bat, but it doesn't really count as an at bat. But you can look in the baseball almanac or total baseball or whatever you look at to look at your player stats, and your player stats will be in there. And you and I both know that there aren't many men in the United States who would not give their right arm to be listed, to have their name have a line in one of those books.
So keep your eye open for a guy named Steele Walker. Will he ever emerge again? Will we see his name on another lineup? And with who and doing what? And I'm just interested to follow his career because his name caught my eye. He was a Giant for less than a week, and now he's out there looking for a home in baseball.
Yeah, there's well, the good thing is we're a week away or 10 days away from the expansion of rosters.
That's nice.
So a guy like Steele, if he has any pop to his bat, probably can find a home on a team that is looking for a bat.
I
Because
always used to love this time of the year when the rookies and the young players come up, and some of them you knew, but some of them you didn't know. And it was exciting to see new people in new uniforms, new numbers on the field, and new opportunities.
I always thought it got a little confusing, to be honest with you, but
Well, now that's a good argument to make because we can make the argument that nobody on the planet knows who the Giants are now. Let's bring in 15 new Giants and see what you think of them now.
right.
What do you think of this team now? Can any of them pitch is all I want to know. We need a bullpen like we need air.
But I mean, every once in a while and occasionally, somebody comes up that makes an impact, makes a difference. There
Yeah.
have been a number of players along the course of Major League Baseball who've been called up at that September 1st deadline and have, helped their teams win a pennant hit, 400 down the stretch. As a matter of fact, then you have to get into the roster manipulation to be able to keep the guy on the roster for the postseason. So all of a sudden, somebody that's been on your team all year comes down with oculorectal
That
and
happened. Oh, I had that once. I knew a guy who had that.
oh yeah, that's not a fun thing to have. I mean, and all of a sudden he's out, and Mr. Newcomer is in, and goes on to hit a buck 95 in the World Series because he's crapping his pants.
And he committed a double balk.
So I mean, it's funny how those things work. Every baseball club has that guy, has one of those guys in their history. Um, what was it? Several years ago, I think it was '99 or '98. Shane Monahan.
Shane Monahan. I
Remember
remember that
Shane
name, I think.
Monahan?
I think so.
Shane Monahan came up and raked the ball for the Mariners for a month. I mean, we had the Shane Monahan fan club and all of that stuff. But he had
And
30
now
days worth of major league in him.
and then he's parking cars in Vegas.
Actually, he's a cop in, I believe, either Glendale or Peoria,
Oh, Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, so he gets to spring training, and who was his uncle was Boom Boom Jeffron.
I remember that name sort of. Was
Yeah,
that
the great hockey player. And
genetics?
yeah, and Shane was a good guy. I mean, I liked him. He was fun. He played along with our radio stunts, which I always am appreciative of.
Not all ball players can do that.
Yeah, uh, got kind of right wing though. I don't know. Last time I talked to him, he was
So
on
now that
really
he's
on
now
Trump.
that he's a cop, ask him how he likes the right wing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Mikey. Is now you get you get all these people who are screaming support the police when they were beating up black people. But now that they're beating up on Trump a little bit, they want to defund the FBI.
But that's what I meant when I said defund the FBI.
Yeah, yeah,
Keep beating up black people and leave Donald Trump alone. Hey, here's an interesting bit of news that came out this morning here in Los Angeles. The LA Times conducted or helped conduct a poll statewide about who you want to vote for in the upcoming presidential election, not the midterm. 60% of Californians do not want Joe Biden as their candidate for this year. The same 60% don't want Kamala Harris as their candidate this year. Remember, this is California. And over 70% don't want Donald Trump to even run. So what the California voter is saying, and the numbers as they play out, is we would rather have Bernie Sanders as the candidate than Kamala Harris, Joe Biden or Donald Trump.
You know what, Mikey? I would disagree with that. I don't. I mean, I don't know. Is Bernie Sanders named in that thing?
Yes,
Oh, he is named. Okay, because I find that surprising because
but
I
remember,
love the impression that
Bernie
there
won
are many
the
people out there that want a clean break from all this stuff.
Bernie won the election for the state primary over over Clinton
Yeah,
when they were running against each other within the state itself in the primary, and he had a lot more support than I expected him to have in California.
yeah. No, he has support, and it's a rabid support. I just think that this country needs to move forward
Yeah,
and away from 80-year-old people.
yeah. It's like you say, we don't want Joe Biden; he's too old. Bernie, come on,
Well,
man.
yeah, see that's ridiculous. Now, if you tell me we don't want Joe Biden, we think that to bring this country together, we need a younger, more I don't know, more of a leader, more of a person who is willing to step up and lead people,
Name
like what a
somebody.
president used to be.
Name anybody. I have nobody on that list.
Well, I think there's some people that are emerging. I think Gavin Newsom is probably on that list.
He was on the list and was considered an alternative candidate by California voters. I
I
don't know
think.
how well he would vote. How would they like him in Colorado or West
Well, he's
Virginia?
taking out ads in Texas and he's taking out ads in Florida. So I'd have to think that
He's testing the water.
he's sticking his feet in the water there. I mean, I think you have. I think Liz Cheney is a distinct possibility, if not a probability, at this point.
Third party.
Yeah, although I suspect that if the Republicans smell a victory with her, uh, much will be forgiven.
I just don't know if she could get the support to last that long within the party.
Well, we didn't think Donald Trump could. And
Well,
look
that's
what happened
true.
there. He took over the party. He didn't just have support. I mean, he became the thing that holds the party up.
And he only had to do one thing, and he's done it very well. Everything else he's screwed up, but one thing he does very well, and that is send me $50. Hey,
Yeah, take the cash and spread it around.
I'm telling you something. It's lunchtime over here at Mar-a-Lago. Send me $50 so I can have. I'm going down to the 19th hole, having a cheeseburger on you
Yeah.
with extra crispy fries, and key lime pie with a lot of whipped cream.
Uncle Mush used to, he'd show up at the gas station about 11:30, and he'd get a piece of paper and a pen, and he'd just
Taking
walk
your
around. What do you
order.
want for lunch today? What do you want? What do you want for lunch? And then he'd get a list of 3 or 4, 5, 6 people, and then walk up to my father and say, what do you want for lunch? I have veal parmigiana. All right, I got the list here. You want to give me some money?
And by that time, you're hungry and you have to give him the money.
And and Mush looked like the big sport when it was invariably somebody else that was paying for not only their lunch, but everybody's lunch, including Mush, who I don't think ever paid for a lunch in his life.
This is the power of the mush.
Well, it's when you're a good con man, when you're a good grifter, you pull that stuff, and people, instead of putting you in jail or beating the crap out of you, will go, that's Bush.
That's just mush. You don't understand.
That's Bush.
That's him. That's him all over.
That's how he is.
And he'll be back around dinner time. Look for him around 6:30. He'll be here.
He'll be standing in front of the Neptune Diner waiting for you to take him for dinner. Made
One
a
of
career
the
out of it.
So if that poll is right, and early polls are rarely correct, maybe it's just pointing us in the right direction that we're going to have to come up with each party that expects to win. I don't think the Republicans can expect to win if they run Donald Trump, but I think they're going to do it anyway. but who's going to run against him and defeat him and become the next president? And that apparently, according to the voters in the West, is someone that we don't have a name for right now. We don't have a name for that person. Gavin Newsom is a possibility. I think he has a lot of I think he has a lot of convincing to do. I think he has a lot of just when you say here's the governor of California and you're talking to an audience in Georgia, what do they think about the governor of California? What do they think he does
Well,
all day?
henceforth the ads. I mean,
Yeah.
really, that's what I'm believing that that's part of the reason that he is buying ads in places like Florida and Texas, and I'm sure parts of Georgia, where they overlay and overlap into Florida. And I absolutely think that he's trying to build up some name recognition for himself. He's been featured on several when they're doing the committee, the January 6th committee. He's been on a couple of those post game shows. I like to call them.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think he's up in his profile. I think he's. I mean, it will not surprise me that if he runs or announces that he's going to run after this election.
Well, Vinny, the world we live in is a mess. Everything
No,
is a
really.
everything is a crisis. From one week to the other, the crisis changes, it multiplies. There's a new crisis, there's a burgeoning crisis, a sleeping crisis, an awakening crisis, a vicious crisis, something that must be responded to. And Newsom has never done any of that. And when he has had crises within the state, he does not juggle them well. He becomes the victim of the crisis, whether it's going to a dinner in Napa when he should have had his mask on, or whether it's responding too slowly to the water crisis in the state.
Right.
And what's he going to look like when they're mad at him? When it's time for Newsom to take the kind of heat that Joe Biden's been taking for the past 6 months with the bad economy.
Well, I
That's
think.
that bothers me. I don't see him swimming that well in those waters.
Well, I think that. Listen, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, taught me one of the best lessons, and we've talked about this a million times. If you are a good manager, you surround yourself with the best possible people, and you should be okay because you'll learn from them, they'll learn from you, and you create a team. And Bruce Blevins told me that a million years ago. It seems like now, and he was right. He did that fairly well. And I think that in Newsom, you have one thing, and I'm not saying I'm for him or anything like that. I'm just looking at it as an observer. You have in Newsom the one thing that they love, and that is that he loves the camera.
Oh yeah.
It works well with him. Maybe he has to get rid of the slick back hair, get a little blow dry going. I don't know how that's going to play in Atlanta or in Muskogee or places like that. But he does have that saleability about him.
You know what I would like to see in the next candidate that we haven't seen for a while, and that is an orator, somebody
Yeah.
who can make a damn speech. And Biden can't do it, and Trump forgets what he's talking about, so all he talks about is himself. Back to what I was saying about me. I'm happy tonight. And when I'm happy, you're happy. That's what it's like to be in the cult. Now, if I wasn't happy tonight, think how it would be miserable for you tonight too. But I'm here, and I'm Donald Trump, and I am happy, so you're happy, and that's all you need to know because I have no platform. Now, the Democrats have to have a platform. They have to run on something. They have to be something. And I would like to see somebody be able to inspire the country with speech making.
Well, you got to think that even the Republicans miss Obama's speech making. I mean, that was the guy who knew how to grab a room in the palm of his hand.
Right.
Uh,
And they hated him for it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the divisions there run deeper than what he sounds like, although that's part of it.
It's what I always meant to tell Barack Obama. Being half white in America stands for nothing.
It's probably worse than being all black.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, here was a guy that was a great orator. He got up there and he just took in the palm of his hand, and you followed him along the stage wherever he went, and you hung on to every word he said, and you ran for Google when he said something that you didn't understand.
Right.
Trump, has he said more than a two-syllable word his entire presidency?
He does this and his hands get tiny, tiny,
Yeah,
tiny.
yeah. I mean, he's not. He's used to ordering people around, not asking them to do something for him.
And right now, the country's in a position where the president has to ask the citizenry to help him out and to do the right
Right,
thing.
right. And Joe probably was a great orator 25 years ago.
I don't know about that.
You know, I
Maybe
mean,
you're right. Maybe you're
but
right.
then again, you go back and you look at the plagiarism stuff. It's amazing to think that that was like that really kind of took him out of the presidential race. What was it,
For a
30 years
generation.
ago?
Yeah.
And now it's who cares? Everybody does it. So, but he's lost his ability to be a. He says the same things over and over. I mean, you can only lean on that. Um, my father back in Scranton crap
Every damn day.
so many times.
Joey,
Guy
there's
who's
one thing.
used that my father back in Scranton crap for a long time. It only goes so far.
Forever you're hearing, Joey, I want to tell you something. Here's something that you have to hear. Here's something that you should always
Yeah,
remember.
and I
What?
don't know who told him to lean into the microphone. I don't know who gave him that piece of sage advice.
Nope, his father in Scranton never gave him any advice on how to lean into the microphone. Here's how you play the microphone and cheat to the audience. Always remember that. Don't upstage yourself. Cheat to the audience. Let's go. Take two.
Probably the closest Biden probably ever got to any kind of roughness was stealing a pack of baseball cards out of the store or something like that. I mean, it's just it's the same thing for the most part. Now listen, he's been able to accomplish some wonderful things. Don't get me wrong. He has had to deal with people in his own party who are looking to shoot him down.
Well,
So
that could happen again if he decides to run. There's going to be how many candidates do you think there'll be of counting Biden?
well,
5, 6 more?
I don't think so. I think there might be one or two. I think there. Yeah, I think there'll be. I think it'll be very similar to a Jimmy Carter, Ted Kennedy type of deal, where somebody who is so revered in the Democratic Party will step up to because if they go to the party, I don't think Jimmy Carter could win in 1980, so I'm stepping into the race to you know, try to keep the country on track, and we saw what happened there.
It did
Um,
not. It did
for
not
those
work.
of you who were alive back then, but I see it as very similar to that, to somebody in the party stepping up and saying, I hate to say this, but I just don't think that Joe Biden can beat the Democrats. Uh, that
But
Joe
do we?
Biden can beat the Republicans, so I'm going to step in here because I think I can. My polling, my this, my that. If you're going against the standard bearer of the party,
You
you
better
better
win.
have a good reason. You better be able to
Also,
show that you're better than him.
who else but the Democrats would come up and run against the incumbent? Who else but the Democrats would
Well,
say, we're
Republicans
gonna,
have done it time and time again.
but no, but they don't run against that guy. Like it's like right now, if you ran against Trump, you have to beat his endorsement. New York Vinnie's running against Donald Trump. He's going to be the Republican candidate, but Trump endorses himself, so Vinnie doesn't get the chance.
Well,
He
it's
had great.
extremely hard to beat an incumbent. I mean, that's
Vinnie had great support, but when the endorsement went to Trump, That was it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a quagmire, and especially in these splintered and confusing times. I mean, who's the Republic? If you take Trump out of it for a second,
He's going
who's
to
the
be pretty busy in
Republican
court.
standard bearer?
Not Pence.
I don't. Although Pence upped his real estate with the January 6th thing, I think that many people see him as a hero who might not have seen him as a hero before, or at
He
least, he ended the 4 years of having his nose stuck so far up Donald Trump's
oh,
butt that he
he
could
was
actually talk
so
to
he
you.
was so smarmy and obsequious. God, he was awful.
Yeah, I mean that's one that's one thing that I think a lot of people won't forgive him for, is the fact that he just kept telling people, well, no, Trump is okay. This president is good. This president knows how to run the pandemic response.
All
This
our
president knows how to
accomplishments,
do this.
we've accomplished so much together.
Yeah, and
Together.
meanwhile, the guy is sitting in the Oval Office plotting his death.
I know everyone assumes that Trump is running, and I think he may assume that himself. But just this last week, his legal responsibilities are rather extraordinary. And the most interesting thing I find about one, he's got incredible pressure on him from all sides in terms of his impending time in court. It's all coming at once. He can't get good lawyers to help him out. And if he doesn't run, it throws the party into a quagmire that he can't allow to happen too early. If he knows he's not going to run, if he knows there's no way that he can fight in court and conduct a campaign and wants to keep that a secret for as long as possible, all he does is cripple the party, which he's more than willing to do as long as they think about him first.
I don't think. I mean, I'm not friends with the guy. I don't know. I don't get the impression that an indictment or anything like that will stop him from running. I think his ego is too big to allow the possibility that he is going to go to jail.
It's a
And
machine that's inching along, but it doesn't have a real direction, does it?
yeah, it's not. I mean, so far what you're seeing out of what has been um, put forward for public knowledge is a set of vagaries. Well, he could be this, he could be that. There's no indictment yet. There's this, there's that, and the process is going to take time. Now, his 30% will vote for him no matter what. He was the truest thing he ever said was that he could shoot a gun off on Fifth Avenue and not get in trouble for it. He could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. That's
Anybody.
probably the truest thing that he has ever said.
Turned out it's a lady walking her dachshund.
Yeah, yeah, and the world feels sorry for her, but hey, we got our own problems, lady.
And the
Well,
dog's fine.
to quote the fortunes, you got your troubles, I got mine. Um,
I see that worried look
yeah,
upon
exactly.
your face.
For I ain't got no feelings for you. You see, I've lost my baby too. Yeah. Anyways, you have, you have to. So now you have the situation where, even if he is indicted, you still got all of these people that are going to vote for him. Now, it may not be enough to get him over the hump, but what it's going to do is it's going to cripple the Republican Party.
Yep.
Um, because Donald is the gift that keeps on giving.
And they've got a list of things that they can't do. We can't get in the way of Trump, can't have another. We don't even know if we're going to have a convention. Do we have a convention? Maybe he doesn't want one. If he doesn't want one, we can't have one. If we have
Well,
one and he doesn't want one, then we're in trouble.
well, I don't understand how you call yourself a party if you can't put a platform out there. I don't understand how you call yourself a party if you can't say we are endeavoring to put the best person on our ticket that we can find to run for president.
And Ron DeSantis, you'll run as VP, right? And he'll say, no,
No way. Because
no.
if there's an ego bigger than Trump's, you'll find it in Tallahassee, Florida.
Non-woke, the non-woke state. Are you guys awake? We're non-woke, if that's what
No,
you
no,
mean.
we're sleepy Florida. We don't wake up for anybody. There's a train coming. That's okay. Jesus will take care of the train.
It's not here, it's coming. What are you worried about?
It's coming. Plenty of time. Wow. Yeah, that's a trip. And
Florida is the closest thing we have to Mars on Earth. That and Slovakia.
yeah. Well, the other thing about DeSantis is he's a lot slicker than Trump.
Yep,
He's the guy that we've talked about for the past 6 years when we say that be careful, there's a slicker guy coming down the road, a woman
yep.
who will be able to operate like Trump, but without the clown cars, without the suits.
And without the clown shoes. I do admire a clown suit, but the shoes make it hard to get around. It's the
Right.
flop, 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 flop,
Or the
flop.
big hands
Yes.
that cover up the little hands.
Is that necessary? Can we just have normal shoes and normal hands?
Yeah, so I think that that you have to watch out for DeSantis because he's the guy that I mean, you don't want DeSantis as president. His ideas of how this country should run do not mesh with how this country should run.
No way.
I
No way on
mean,
earth.
certainly shouldn't run like it's running, but somewhere in the middle might be okay. But DeSantis has got nothing for the middle.
With Ron DeSantis as your president, the states that want to prevent women from traveling across state lines to get abortions in another state will have the power to prevent women from traveling.
They'll get federal funding for it.
They'll get the federal police force that works the border for it.
If you get
And
a
they only
positive
stop
pregnancy test, they'll hang an Apple tag on you.
and they only stop women. Men can travel across the state lines as they wish
Well,
in a DeSantis world.
although I think in a DeSantis world, if you're a guy and you won't get stopped, but they'll want to know where your woman is all the time.
Well, you have to report her condition.
Yeah, you'll be the guy emboldened, empowered to report her condition. No, it's
And the state has the right to know, Vinnie, if you're ovulating, okay? That's pretty obvious. The state needs to know.
DeSantis is the slick Donald Trump. DeSantis is the guy who will get that one Democrat in 1,000 who says, "Well, I don't know, maybe he's got a good idea there."
Maybe it would be better if we had total control of everyone's thoughts. Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Or he'll be the guy that the clergy stands up on the pulpit in the Catholic Church and says Ron DeSantis believes what we believe in, and so you should elect him. And the Nimrods that listen to their priest about this kind of thing will vote for him. Doesn't matter if he takes away every one of their freedoms. Doesn't matter if they
Nothing.
can't leave their driveways.
But Vinny, nothing matters to a Nimrod. Very few things are on the list. Boy, this really matters to me. And you are what? I'm a Nimrod.
Oh well, I didn't know you. I didn't know you had that. You were in that party. Thank you. Please stand over there.
And at the convention, Mike Love and the Beach Boys can play for DeSantis. What do you say?
Of course, they're America's band.
And sing 409.
It's not going to be. I mean, it's going to be for people like us that love this stuff, that watch politics. It's going to be an interesting season, political season.
Going to be quite a ride.
Something like we may have never seen before, and with the result that we probably would never have dreamt possible.
Well, what I should say to the Republican National Committee is take a look at the Cleveland Browns. They don't have a quarterback, and they knew they weren't going to have a quarterback. Now they don't have a quarterback, and they did nothing about it. So guess what? They don't have. They don't have a quarterback.
Quarterback.
Now you're running for office, but you're not making any plans about if Donald Trump is in jail. Donald Trump is in court. Donald Trump has been convicted. Donald Trump is under accusations. He's under official federal scrutiny. He can't run for president. You don't have a plan B. So who is your plan B? They're going to have a street fight for that. So there'll be 3 or 4 senators that think, well, I'm more popular than Ron DeSantis. I'm better than he is. I'm smarter than he is, and people like me. I could be president.
Well, the one thing that we haven't taken into account about this and haven't talked about is the mood of the people.
It's kind of angry.
And there is a large contingent of people out there that are upset, that are reacting to the Supreme Court. I think that what the Supreme Court did around abortion will wind up coming back to really hurt them.
All it has to do is the Senate and the House. That's all I want.
Yeah, because I think that, I mean, we're seeing in places now Democrats pulling ahead in polls. We're seeing Mitch McConnell come out and saying, well, maybe this isn't going to be that wave you thought it was going to be.
The quality of the candidates has not been taken into consideration. We do have Herschel Walker running for Senate. For Senate.
I mean, really, and so what Trump has done, the gift that Trump is to the Republican Party, he has put them in a position now of having, uniquely unqualified people running for office, people that are there based on celebrity and not public service.
They got nothing, but they look good in the picture. It's
You,
like
you
ours.
have an army of Lauren Boberts
There's one after another. We got another one over here.
getting ready to take over. You've got every hot dog guy in Queens ready to assume a position of authority in the United States.
I'm not a politician. I'm not. I'm not a politician. I would like to do some politics though. Like Monday through Friday, I could do politics, but then Friday night, I just want you to know I'm a man of the people. I am not a politician.
I'm not a politician. I'm here to try to straighten this mess out. Well, what's the mess? Well, we had this election that
Yeah.
don't seem right. Well, wait a minute. Nobody's proven anything. Well, that doesn't matter.
No, we're going to go back 4 years and count those ballots.
It
Somebody's
doesn't
got to
seem
count them.
right to me. Well, who are you? Well, I'm the hot dog guy. Well, what are you used to counting? My big accomplishment in life is that make sure that the buns and the hot dogs, those counts, match up. Because the worst thing in a hot dog guy's life is to have more hot dogs than buns or more buns than hot dogs.
This sounds very interesting. Are you telling me that the two should match up?
It's
Like
a
a hot dog for every
various
bun?
thing, but the number of hot dogs and the number of buns should match up. And if they don't, at the end of the day, you're either left with the choice of selling a guy a hot dog on a toothpick, henceforth the hot dog on a stick, or a bun with no meat, just sauerkraut and onions and mustard.
You know what they call that in LA, don't you?
Vegetarian.
Market adjustment.
Yeah,
That's your
we're
market
going to
adjustment
charge
over
you
here.
5,000 over sticker price for it.
That's your market adjustment over here.
But those are the guys, so they can make. But what they do is they invariably get the numbers to match by hiding buns or hiding the hot dogs.
Dear Lord, I hide this bun in your name.
They stick the buns somewhere. They
You don't want
stick
to
the
know
hot
where.
dogs, who knows where. And you have, you even out the count one way or the other, but you can't do that until the end of the day.
Well, Vinny, it seems natural that someone who does this for a living in Staten Island would succeed in politics because they would take a non-political view, just as they take a non-edible view toward the hot dog. Doesn't matter if you can eat it. Somebody might eat it, somebody might not. This is the business we're in.
As
This is the
long as
business
it's
we have
not
chosen.
purple, and even if it is purple, you always have the mustard, the onions, sauerkraut, the chili, whatever it is to cover it up so you can't see it.
And I never asked, is there a bun for this hot dog? I never asked. It's the business we have chosen. I didn't go around asking. I knew he was impetuous, fly off the handle, put a hot dog without a bun, put a bun without a hot dog. I knew it.
And there's not even an umbrella on the Las Vegas strip with his name on it. Mo Green.
Oh God.
Man.
But the best part of that wonderful scene was he couldn't breathe as he was saying it. It was
Yeah, he was getting all
verklempt. Yeah, he was all wheezy. It was finally.
and
The
you notice
doctors, what do they
Michael
know?
isn't going over to help him.
Oh no, because he knows.
No, I mean Michael's, probably saying a prayer that this guy, seizes up right here,
Let him die here with his tuna fish sandwich.
and his wife in her little chiffon dress. So I don't know, Mikey. It's really a a crazy time politically, and I don't know what is gonna happen. I do know that there seems to be a groundswell
Give us something new.
of people who are just done with, don't want to see the country do this for another 4 years. Don't want to. They want this to go away, so that their kids can go to school without a school board meeting where people are screaming at each other, so that the highways that are in this bill can get built, so that people can go back to work. The 6 people that aren't working anymore,
We're
can
two of them.
go back to work, so that the country can prosper. The best thing to keep people's minds off of the bad stuff is load them up with some good stuff.
And everything feels better with a good economy and a good turnaround and a good energy level. And
Yeah.
we haven't had those because we're so damn unstable.
Well, you know what, Mikey? Is it that we're unstable, or is that we're being sold that we're unstable
Well, I
and we're
think that
buying it?
I think part of that, of course, is a media creation. But at the same time, I don't blame the media for the breadth and the depth and the hostility of the Republican Party toward reality. They've made things up for too long now. They've created an alternative reality. They created a tissue of lies that has poisoned everything. You can't poison a little bit of water. When you poison the lake's done. And that's just about where we are. And so the people who are being left behind, the 30%, the base, the cult members, they're going to have to die. And their children are going to have to die before we're free of them. They're never going to change. The one thing that they're certain about is that they'll never change their mind. They'll be with us as a factor for a number of years to come, even if Trump is out of the picture, even if he's dead and gone.
Yeah.
There'll be those who remember him so fondly and those times so lucidly that they say we got to go back to the time of Trump. Got to go back when we won that election, but the Democrats took it from us.
Well, there's people who'll tell you that we got to go back to the time of Nixon. That Nixon was the greatest president because he did this, 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 and this. Yeah, he did a few stupid things, but hey, everybody does that.
Like Roger Stone, who would get a picture of Nixon on his back, a tattoo? Not many guys.
There's people that think that these guys are good for the country. That
Yes.
these guys are truly patriots. That they have the right idea. I don't know that I have the right idea. I don't know that you have the right idea. I know that I have some ideas that I think would make the country better. And if more people like me sat down and thought about them and got them to people who could do something about it, maybe we'd have a better nation. maybe we'd have a more compassionate nation.
Who's
Maybe
going
we
to put
would
down
have,
the talk about who's going to put down the talk about civil war? That's what I want to hear. Who's going to stop talking about it? Stop talking about the divide. Stop talking about the violence that comes with white supremacy. Stop talking about the national Christian uh, viciousness that is spread across the nation, especially in the Bible Belt. The conversion of Christianity to a hateful, plotting,
right.
secret police.
Well, look at the Nordic countries. Look at their elections. Look at how people are elected over there. They're elected on the promise that they will maintain the services that people get and that they will maintain and try to make their lives easier, better, and less bureaucratic.
And it's a parliamentary system, so they've got to work with the parties that they're members of that form the government
Right. You have to compromise with people.
every day.
You have to understand the other person's point of view. You can't just discharge somebody because they like Trump or they like Biden or they like Harris or they like name the politician. You can't just go away from them.
How about a party system where one party votes no on everything? No on jobs, no on medicine, no on the economy, no on the ecology, no on everything that you can think of.
Isn't that the Republicans?
That is the Republicans, and this is why they can't have a platform, Vinny. Their platform is just no. They stand for nothing, and that's exactly it. It's not that they stand for nothing; they stand for nothing. They are in place of nothing, and if you want nothing done, they're exactly the people to do it. And if you think that something might get done by someone voting yes, get more Republicans. They'll vote no, and nothing will get done. Nothing is the promise that we make to you all.
There is there's no progressive in that.
No.
There's no you want to keep things either as they were or throw them back to another time. But when you start throwing things back, you throw them back to a time that is fantasized by people and it's not reality.
Everyone says how wonderful the Eisenhower years were, and I said, "You bet they were if you were white."
Yeah. Or if
Why
you weren't a
wasn't?
communist,
Yeah,
if you were a rat, if you were a Roy Cohn, if you were somebody who figured out how to make money off of somebody's fear
chaos.
and chaos, you had a wonderful time in the 50s. If you didn't pick up the newspaper, you ever notice that when they Happy Days or any of these things that romanticize the 50s, when they pick up the paper, they're never looking at the front page. They're always looking at the
No,
comics.
yeah,
Nobody's ever or the movie listings.
nobody knows anybody. Who are these people on the front page? I don't recognize any names.
Yeah, nobody's ever looking at you know unless it's a drama of epic proportion. Nobody's looking at the Army McCarthy hearings or the different kinds of bad things that went on. You never see anything on the front page about segregation or Medgar Evers was killed or that was the '60s, but you don't see that. You see him turn to the comics. Oh, look at Pogo this week. Look at the
Yeah,
Family Circus.
we have met the enemy, and it is us," says Pogo.
We have met the enemy, and it's Walt Kelly. I mean,
Yeah,
for you kids, that's the guy who created,
he was very clever, Mr. Walt Kelly.
or Bill Keane from Family Circus.
Less clever, but still worked every day.
So, yeah, how do you when somebody wants to go in and say, well, this is what really happened, and we probably should teach some of this because if we don't teach it to people, we are doomed to repeat it ourselves. Uh, and people look and say, well, what's so bad about that? The
Who's going to
50s were
teach?
wonderful.
Yeah, who's going to teach history of this period, of the Trump years? Who's going to accurately teach that history? What school do you have to go to get the truth?
Alan Weisselberg School of Management.
That's a good school. A lot of big decisions came out of that school.
You learn a lot.
Uh, you look what he's going to be able to tell you about if anyone is in a position to write a book. My 6 months at Rikers by Alan Weisselberg. Day one. What a bunch of interesting guys. What a bunch of friends and I have now. I had never had friends like this when I was in school, but now everyone loves me.
And
This is the
certainly never a boyfriend like I have now.
and I must say that the food is as awful as they say, but there's a lot of spice to it.
A lot of spice. And listen, Saturday night is a very nice date night.
And it's a hard life here at Rikers. Things happen that you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to see happen again. But every once in a while, the right guy gets it, and we're
Yeah.
happy. We rejoice in that.
Every once in a while, the guards come in, take the guy out, and you never see him again.
That's good. That's got
And
to
you
be
don't ask
good.
questions.
No, it's got to be more food for us.
Yeah, you just you learn not to ask very many questions about anything. I'm
And I
helping
wondered who
everybody in here with their taxes.
and who's the big important guy named Rikers, who this place is named for. Where's he? You never see him.
Yeah,
Where's Mr. Rikers? Yeah. And the Rikers family, Eric Rikers and Don Jr. Rikers, where are they? Ivanka Rikers, they should all be here running the shop.
Ivanka Rikers. That's her name. Donald Rikers has a ring to it, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Hey Vinny, tell us about your show for the weekend. You got a
Oh,
show tomorrow.
oh yes, I do. I think I have a show tomorrow. We're gonna go to Monterey,
No, Monterey, California.
California, because it is Car Week in Monterey,
The
which
Concours
is
de Galeance.
yeah, the concourse and yeah, all the events that surround it. It is, without a doubt, the coolest week for cars anywhere. Uh, I think it's not a racing environment where people just roll out cars that are worth 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, and just park them on the grass and say, "Come take a look at my car. Keep your hands in
Whoa.
your pockets.
Yeah.
Don't touch." So we'll talk to my friend Perry Stern, who is down there. I'm trying to get in touch with another friend of mine who's a photographer. Find out what he's looking for through his lens.
Yes.
Um,
Do you think Broadway Crawford's Buick Special Highway Patrol vehicle will be there 2150 by?
yeah, interesting. I know I believe it has been shown there. I don't know if it'll be there this year, but oddly enough, I have the guy's number who owns it. So
Ah,
I could give him a call and find out if it is going to be there. And certainly, we talked to him about a year ago or so. Because we do like a time to time series. Whatever happened to this car?
right.
What happened to the limousine that Kennedy was driving in? What happened to the bullet Mustang that Steve McQueen drove? What happened to the car that Popeye Doyle was driving, a French Connection?
What happened to James Bond's Aston Martin?
They are, I believe, in the first one, the DB5. I believe is in a collection, a huge collection that a guy has outside of London. Keeps the cars in a castle.
Ah,
You know, which I wonder about because it's not exactly the perfect environment
too cold, too
for a
wet, too
car.
damp, too
But
damp.
if you got a castle and you're not using it, why not park the cars in there? Um, there's also a state prison in Montana that houses an ex-state prison that houses a car museum.
Wow.
It's a pretty interesting place, pretty wild place.
A lot of different vibrations going on there at once.
Lots of different vibrations. It's really the dining hall is where they have
Ooh,
the cars set up. And I don't know what they have upstairs. They may have more stuff storage or what, but
They have little men sharpening knives, little men sharpening knives at the at their
Right,
tool bench.
and the knives are chained to the tables.
Yep.
So it's pretty intense. There's some interesting car museums in some really kind of bizarre places. Maybe the most of them are along Route 66.
Magical town.
You know, when you go
Wait,
through.
is that our Route 66 or is that Spolpakia?
No, that's the United States
Oh, okay.
Route 66. Spolpakia has, well, it's a varied road.
It comes and goes.
Depends on what you're looking for.
It ain't all one thing all the time, okay? That's
They have
Spolpakia.
25 Starbucks on Route 66 in Spolpakia. And they're all located between two exits.
Yep. They're all right on top of one another.
Well, they want you to be able to find it.
But if one's out of scones, for instance, and you have to have the right kind of scone, you don't have to go far to get the next scone.
You don't even have to go to the next exit. You just go on the frontage road.
And you'd think that because they have so many Starbucks that they would not be busy, but the people are lined up because that's the only place you can get coffee. There is no alternative.
Well, no, there actually is. There's the Turkish taffy cafes.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the Bonomo Turkish Taffy Cafe. When you walk in, you have to get a piece of candy and slam it down and break it
You
up into
know,
little pieces, and then you can go into the cafe.
I know they wouldn't have Seattle's best coffee, but would they have Spolpakia's best coffee? Is there a?
SBC, the
That's what I'm
official.
thinking.
Oh no, the official coffee of Spolpaki is SBD,
Which stands for.
silent but deadly.
We're talking about a coffee called Silent but Deadly. What kind of world is
You go to
this?
high school.
I did go to, fortunately, not in Spolpakia.
What were you learning when you went to high school?
So we'll see
We
you
don't
tomorrow
like
at
this stuff, folks. It's just all top of the head.
We'll see you at 8 o'clock in the morning. You do your show. Monterey will be in the focus.
Yes, Monterey will be in the focus. We'll be taking a look at the Mitsubishi Outlander, and we'll have our review of the off-road monster called the Chevy Silverado ZR2, which
Woo!
is just if you want to get your ass pinned into a seat sometime, this might be the truck you want to drive.
The ZR2.
The Silverado ZR2.
Well, it's pretty early in the morning, 8 o'clock, but that'll keep me awake listening to that story about your ZR2.
Yeah, and they could have called it. I thought the
Yeah,
we're being buzzed by the
coming
German
in low,
numbers.
coming in low. Or as Red Skelton would say, "Ooh, a flock of them flew over that time."
Gertrude
Yeah,
Heathcliff.
yes, a flock of them flew over.
The seagulls. Yeah, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please be here for Drive Time Radio broadcast right here on your internet and all over the world on KKNW 1150.
Available in many places throughout our, I don't want to say universe, galaxy. Thank you.
Yeah, anywhere you can click, you can find it. If you can click, where to be found.
One click away. Have a good show, Ben. Have a good
Mikey,
weekend.
take care of yourself, man. I will see you on Monday.
It'll be a more.
Let's will the creek don't rise.
I wouldn't miss it. What about the Manischewitz?
Well, I mean, man on Manischewitz, as Sammy Davis Jr. said, peace, love, and Manischewitz.
What a wine. See you, Ben.